Is there a reason that you're being so rude? The Zeus Lycos festival that they found this altar on was notorious for sacrificing young boys, but you just skipped that part despite the evidence. Okay, let me see if I can find some more evidence. This is from BibleArchaeology.org. Human sacrifice at a mountaintop altar. Let's see what it says. On a mountain peak in southern Greece, archaeologists have made an unusual discovery, a human burial within an ancient altar dedicated to Zeus. The find was recently reported by the Greek Ministry of Culture. Let's skip through a little bit. Greek texts of the classical period, including Pindar, Thucydides, and Plato, attest that this site was sacred to Zeus, the principal god of the Greek pantheon, and played host to athletic competitions as part of the god's festivals. Archaeological investigation at the site, however, has shown that human activity on Mount Lycaon far predates the classical era. During the late Bronze Age Mycenaean period, however, the rate of ceramic deposition on the peak greatly increased, and it's also during this period that burnt and unburnt offerings of sacrificed animals, sheep, goat, cattle, and pig are first attested. The deposition on the altar of burned bones and pottery related to wine drinking continued into the Archaic and Classical periods. The latest artifacts that archaeologists have found on the peak of Mount Lycaon date to the early Hellenistic period, late 4th century BCE, following the reign of Alexander the Great. Here is a picture of the mound. The repeated burning and deposition of animal bones on the peak of the mountain resulted in the accumulation of a mound of ashes that served as a platform for yet more sacrifices. The fullest ancient account of this kind of altar, termed an ash altar by modern archaeologists, is given by the 2nd century Roman writer Pausanias in his description of the famous sanctuary of Zeus at Olympia, which lies just 23 miles northwest of Mount Lycaon. It has been made from the ash of the thighs of the victims sacrificed to Zeus. The first stage of the altar at Olympia, called protithesis, has a circumference of 125 feet. The circumference of the stage of the protithesis, 32 feet. The total height of the altar reaches 22 feet. The victims themselves, it is the custom to sacrifice on the lower stage, the protithesis, but the thighs they carry up to the highest part of the altar and burn them there. The steps that lead up to the protithesis from either side are made of stone, but those leading from the protithesis from the upper part of the altar are, like the altar itself, composed of ashes. Micromorphial analysis undertaken during previous work done by the Mount Lycaon team has shown that the sediment of the altar is largely composed of the remains of wood ash and calcined bone. Analysis of the bones recovered during the first 4 years of excavation from 2007 to 2010 showed that the sheep, goat made up the majority of sacrifices, accounting for between 94 and 98% of the remains, with the additional presence of domestic pig and cow. No human remains were identified. Crucial in identifying sacrificial practice is the composition of animal remains. These are almost entirely thigh bones and tail bones, known from other sources as key elements of Greek animal sacrifice. Repeated animal sacrifices on the altar over centuries created a deposit of sediment that today measures from 1 to almost 5 feet at its deepest point. So, is it possible that the information you are reading has been propagandized? Because there is no evidence. There's nothing there that's indicative that there was human sacrifice. The child that was found there was buried near that altar. He wasn't burnt on that altar. So unless you have something else to lay before me, I don't know what else. I'm not going to do any more work for you.